Chris-Rachael Oseland, your Kitchen Overlord. Thank you guys so much for supporting our Kickstarter. We've hit our $7,500 goal reward, which, oh, thank you so much for that. I had no idea it was going to be this popular, and I am so honored. As our reward, Jonathan from Invisible City has come on for a special episode of Gamestorming where we go through and create a game completely from scratch based around Kitchen Overlord recipes you've seen. There's all kinds of absolute craziness in it. And best of all, it's going to be turned into a playable PDF that you can download and play at home. You can submit fan art for it. Everything. It's fantastic. Rather than do any sort of introduction in the middle of the show, we're going to just jump right into when he begins with the rules. So check it out.
We need to come to an agreement on just a general overarching theme of what we want to see the game be about, or like a prohibition or a rule.
Well, since this is based on my exciting Kickstarter for the Illustrated Geek Cookbook,
Woohoo!
I want it to be about geeks and food.
All right, so can you be a little more specific? Because we already knew it was going to be geeks and food.
That's true, we did know that.
How about it's like a food kingdom and it's like Risk and we're fighting each other? Like the hot dog kingdom versus the waffle kingdom.
That's not that geeky, though. I think it should be more like the sandworm kingdom, like, because then you could have something from Beetlejuice, and you could have the Dune sandworms,
True.
and I've got recipes for all of those, versus, some other, like, marshmallows, because you've got that for Ghostbusters and whatnot.
Well, yeah.
I mean, sandworms versus marshmallows.
Fine. I have to have the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. You can have your sandworms.
Okay, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, sandworms, what else do we need?
All right, so we're going to have sandworms, and we're going to have Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, right?
Fighting to the death.
In your imagination, when you're imagining this, are you imagining how many players? Like 2 players, 4 players?
I would think a 4 to 5 player
All right,
game.
so you want a 4 to 5 player game?
Yeah, I like more players because
Yeah.
then you can have all sorts of people come over.
We
and
could
it's
pretend
fun.
we have imaginary friends.
Yes, we have imaginary friends.
All right, so in your imagination, do the 4 to 5 players, do they all control sandworms and marshmallow people?
No.
Or are those,
No.
All right, so
No,
these
there
are
has to be more than just sandworms marshmallow because if we're gonna do 4 to 5, then you should be able
Everyone
to
should have their own different edible monster. Is
yeah,
that what
like
you're
there
thinking?
would be your army cards.
I like that. I like everybody having their own edible monster.
All right.
What do you think?
So unedible monster, are you talking about literally edible? Because one of the games I made, actually, Peep War was the first edible war game.
Oh, Peep War.
Peep War.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Okay, because
All
I
right,
actually, again,
so
have the
literally
recipe.
edible stuff.
Literally edible. I've got a
All right.
recipe for sandworms. I've got the recipe for the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. There's a bunch of cookie type things. Frelling food cubes. I like that one because they're actually vegan if somebody wants to be vegan.
Gelatinous cubes.
Oh, I've got the gelatinous cube Jello shots. So gelatinous cubes.
Okay, so gelatinous cubes.
So
What
gelatinous
else?
cubes for the alcoholics.
Yep.
Frelling food cubes from Farscape for the vegans. We need a 5th one now. Thinking. You'd think I would have all this memorized, but I write a lot of recipes. Oh, something vampire related maybe for people that are into the vampire things. Blood clots. We're just going to call it blood clots. I'm sure I have a recipe for that.
Well, why don't we do the 1-up mushrooms?
Oh yeah, the 1-up mushrooms. Those would actually be great. 1-up mushrooms.
Did 2 minutes already go by?
Okay, 1-up mushrooms, and then we're done with this part.
So these are the fighters. Okay,
All right,
so I'm gonna
so
start drawing
what we're going to do
marshmallow.
now is we're going to actually kick into the actual creation of the game. All right.
Okay.
So what we've done right now is we've sketched out the kind of theme of the game, and now what we're going to do is we're going to actually make rules. So we're going to take turns making rules.
Okay.
So Gavin, I think right now one of your rules that you're kind of implying here is that pieces are represented by cards.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So I'm going to ask for a little clarification. Normally, if we were playing this like for realsies and not in a short period of time, I'd let you do this on your own and not screw with your stuff. So anyway,
gonna touch your
are the
stuff
pieces
now.
just cards, or do the cards give you data about pieces in another location?
I
Yes.
think the cards
His rule.
represent your actual piece that you play with, and you'll have support cards, kind of like in Magic's, where you can say.
Ho, 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 whoa, 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 you're making another rule there.
Okay, sorry,
You've got
yes.
one rule,
This is our piece.
cards are pieces.
Yes.
1, cards are pieces. All right, Chris-Rachael, your turn, make up a rule.
I'm not quite following what you mean with the making up the rule, with
One
the
rule.
limiting on that.
All right, so the
cards are
rule,
pieces.
we're actually listing out just like the game components. Technically, cards or pieces isn't so much of a rule as I wanted it to be, but
Okay.
again, we're working on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
so-
for example, you might say things like,
How about it's a
you may
cooperative
have a
game?
hand of, all right, so we're gonna say it's co-op.
A co-op game.
All right, running.
Because we're all, co-op game where we're all fighting the monsters.
All right,
Good.
all players
I can be persuaded to go with
are
we're
fighting
monsters fighting each
the
other.
monsters.
Oh, I might kind of like that better.
All right, I'm gonna say that every player has a hand of 5 cards at all times.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
So as soon as you play a card, that means you have to draw another card.
sounds good.
So you always have a hand of 5 cards. All P.
This is starting to come together in my head.
Always.
So we're
And
all
this is-
fighting monsters. They've been summoned by, okay, that's more of a theme thing in the background, but we've done something awful that has summoned all of these fantastical monsters out of science fiction
That
and
we can
fantasy.
eat.
That we can eat. We were really hungry. It was Halloween or whatever.
All right, so that's background. That's cool.
Okay,
We're
sorry.
framing. No, it's all good. Your turn to make a rule.
Okay, so in the game, it's actually a sick reality show, and the cards will represent the powers that we have.
All right, that's okay. That's just theme.
Okay, I'm good at coming up with themes. Okay, the rules.
No, for example, like if you're playing a card, what would a rule be with something
Okay.
like that? What do the cards do? Is that
Yeah. What do the cards do? How many cards can you play a turn?
You
You
can
had already
play-
said that there's like troops and support cards,
Yes.
right?
You can play as many cards as your hand will allow.
So you can play. You can dump your entire hand.
Yeah, you can literally play 5 cards if you can actually pull it off.
All right. So that implies that there's a cost. All right. You may play as many as you wish.
you can steal cards
Can.
from other players? Would be my rule.
All right.
Ooh, he stole your piece of paper.
That's true, which is completely appropriate for that particular rule.
May steal.
So start thinking already for another card. To
Yeah,
be
I gotta
stolen
think
from
real
when your
hard.
round comes around again.
Other.
I'm thinking in terms of
Players.
flux with some of the things, but I don't want to make it as flux-like.
Yeah,
as
'cause
I
we
want there
love
to be
flux.
more.
I need the name of a limited finite resource in the kingdom that we use.
Spice. The
All
spice
right.
must flow.
All right, then cards. Cards are paid for in spice.
Okay.
They have a cost.
Playing cards and activating cards have prices in spice.
Okay.
Ooh, and when you reach a certain level where you've maxed out your spice, your eyes turn blue. That could be a card that you put in front of someone, like you cannot do any more of this because you've now maxed out on spice. Your eyes are blue,
Yeah.
and now you have to wait a certain amount of time
How are we
Number-
turning this into a Dune game?
because I'm here.
Trust me, it's going to work. So number 8 was if you use your eyes.
I love that he's writing this down. This is going to be great. I
blue.
can't wait to actually see this when it's playable.
Okay.
Eyes turn blue has effects. All right.
Okay, so mine is when you play a card, you have to do it in an epic way, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! I play this card! You have to actually play, you can't just, okay, I'm going to play that. No, you got to play it epically, like your life depended on it.
When you play a card,
Come on, do it. I choose this trap card face down!
be epic. All right.
And if you don't like it, you can dump your whole hand and skip a turn. Like if nothing in your hand is playable, you can just like, you know what? I do not even need this marshmallow.
Hey,
Draw
that's
5
my
new cards.
marshmallow man.
But you have to skip a turn if you do that as a penalty. See, practical rule, not
Practical rule.
spice related.
All right. The game ends when the deck of cards runs out.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Because what we've got here is a game that's a bunch of card churn, right? So when you make a game and you've got cards as a limited resource, right? If some cards are better than others, and so you have low-cost cards with low spice, and they do little things, and you have big-cost cards with big spice, right? So what you have is you have a deck churn, which means that people are going to try and, they're incentivized to burn their hands as fast as possible. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to put some reins on the game by saying, all right, you can burn through the deck, but since it's co-op, which means the game can win, then I'm making it say, so people might think twice before like, I'm going to just trash this stuff. Because if the game ends when you run out of cards, you know, you don't want to hurt yourself. So anyway.
So if everybody loses, then these monsters that we summoned in order to eat them, eat all of humanity. Like a sandworm is just riding through the
How
bits, like,
ironic.
yeah, yes. No, I didn't say it was deep, I said it was fun.
When deck runs out of cards. All right.
We
Keep
didn't even
going.
use some of these other awesome props that you brought along.
So,
how are we on time?
Oh, we're good.
we're good.
Awesome. All right. Another rule.
Another rule. Okay. One person has to play the monsters.
So it's 1 versus many?
One versus
I'm
many.
good with that.
Okay.
This way there's someone controlling the monsters being the bad guy that can just totally F
You know everyone
else.
is going to want to play the monsters. No
Who
one's
wouldn't
gonna
want to play the marshmallow man? I mean, they could go blah, 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 blah. Screw the Ghostbusters. They ain't going to stop me.
All right.
Oh, I didn't know I was gonna have to come up with another room. Okay. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no. What?
Everyone plays the monsters. There's a limited amount. into the game.
You just stole my piece of paper.
Here,
now.
let's
Yes.
review real fast.
Oh, yeah.
So, cards represent pieces. All players fight monsters. All players always have a hand of 5 cards. You may play as many cards as you wish. Players may steal cards from other players. Playing and activating cards has a spice cost. When you play a card, it must be epic. Epic! If you use too much spice, your eyes turn blue, which has effects, negative effects, is implied. May dump your hand and skip turn to draw a new hand. Game ends when the deck runs out of cards. One player plays the monsters. That's what we've got so far.
If you brought an actual food item to the game, you can swap out a card. But you have to actually
So I could bring like Check Mix and just trade out my pretzels and
you
get
can
cards.
do it once per food item that you've brought to the game. That'll encourage people to actually bring snacks and things like
Oh,
that to
yeah.
it. Because I mean, you know, a lot of times if you're playing a game, there'll be the one person that brings everything and then everyone else.
Can you clarify what you mean for me by swap out a card?
I mean, at some point in time during the game, during
With
the
no
whole deck,
penalty.
with no penalty whatsoever, you can just say, I don't like any of these. I'm getting rid of that one because I brought the Chex Mix and I'm taking one off the top of the deck.
All right, so swap out a card for a blind card from the top of the deck?
Blind card from the top of the deck. But only if you brought food.
Blind. But theoretically, I could play a pretzel stick man for 1 spice and go, you know what? I brought the milkshakes. I'm going to swap out, and it might be the Sandworm of Doom and my pretzel stick man, and I just lucked out.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right,
so
that's
add
cool.
a luck factor into
That's
it.
right,
that
I'm
way.
fine.
And encourage people
Blind.
to, you know, make it a communal eating thing.
Yeah,
Blind
because you
from
bring snacks when you play
top.
games all day.
All right, I'm going to say, and this is me letting one of my really strong biases out, there is no board.
Okay.
Nice.
Instead, you're just playing cards in front of you. It's kind of an abstracted, semi-abstracted tableau.
Honestly, most of the games that I enjoy these days are card games anyway. Or
True.
No
card-based games.
board.
Which means, of course, that
Only
anybody out there
cards.
who, say, wants to mod this game, because it will be totally free for you to play with, you should come up with some really awesome game art for it, and then submit that, and we can put it on the cards.
Woo! Your turn. New rule.
How many more rules do we have to have?
As many as we need to make us feel like the game has at least a structure that is playable.
Okay.
We don't know what that actually
So
is.
I'm gonna egg you on a little bit. We don't know how we get spice. We don't know how much spice people start with. We don't know if there's a way to get more spice during play.
Okay.
We can start defining kind of levels of troop.
Okay,
You
so-
mentioned support cards earlier, and I said, hey, wait a minute, that's another rule. You still
Yeah.
haven't defined what
Okay.
support cards are.
Support
You said support
cards
cards.
are like those. Who are the other people in the chef who aren't the chef?
The sous
Sous
chefs.
chefs.
Yeah, like the sous
and-
chefs.
Sous chefs and a pastry
Everything-
maker and a
yeah.
saucier.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh, I like that. I like
um,
that.
so they're support cards.
Okay, so our support cards are sous chef, saucier, maybe even a line cook. if
I
you're
just
really
know
desperate, and the
Ratatouille. That's
value-
pretty much it.
And the value of those would be based on your status in a normal kitchen. So ranging from line cook is only worth 1 up to, you know,
And yeah, so
sous
this,
chef is worth 10 or whatever.
you get spice based on 'em, just like in Magic. That's
So
really
your support cards produce spice for you.
I think that's a new rule.
Hey, you made like 3 rules in a row. Leave me alone, okay?
I was enhancing your rule because my rule was going to be about how to get spice too.
Oh, was that a good idea to get spice though?
Yeah, it's totally good. I get it.
Because you know, and then if you lose them, you lose that spice off.
So, all right, so we're going to collaborate a little on this rule because,
Okay.
hey, let's all make this rule
Yeah,
together.
totally.
I'm going to say support cards can either do a thing, you can have them do a task, or harvest spice.
Okay.
So you're like, hey, saucier, make a sauce, or give me some spice.
Okay. I
Good.
like that. I like
Make a
that.
sauce to throw on the sandworm and boil him to death.
So I will run with that one, and so my next rule will be as far as the attack cards are concerned. Those will be based on the value of your support staff. Again, with the line cook up to saucier or up to sous chef. Each one of those will have a different value from 1 to 10. When you get a certain number of those together, you can attack whatever the number is on your exactly. So let's say the sandworm is worth 10, and you need to have enough of those support cards going to attack a sandworm.
All right, is an attack card synonymous with a minion? You said
Oh, that's a good
They
question.
can boost the minions.
Well, actually, wait. There's 2 separate questions. Do we want the spice to be what you gather up in order to attack, or do we
Yes.
I've got a suggestion.
Yes,
All right.
please.
So you can either play a card as an attack card or as a minion. So you've got support cards, and you've got minions/attack cards, right? So I can either play it as a sandworm, which costs a ton of spice, or I can play it as like an attack 3 card.
Okay. I like that.
So that way, if I don't have enough spice to play it, I can go, oh, well, I can just keep it as an attack 3. That kind of thing.
Got it.
Yeah, that's
Dual
good
use cards
Yeah,
make
I like
games.
the flexibility. I like the
Exactly.
flexibility on that.
No,
And
I think it's my turn to make a rule.
I think that we all just collaborated on that one. Have you got one?
Yeah, I have
Okay,
one.
you go ahead and then I've got one. I hope I
Okay.
remember it.
You say yours first because I'll remember mine.
Okay, so as far as there are other cards that are just spice cards.
All right.
So there'll be some, and they're very low value in general, like 1 to 3 spice. So that way you're not always spending your support cards. The question is, what are the support cards going to do if they're not actually attacking?
Well, the minions, they're like in Magic. Like if you spice, it's gone. Next round, you can regenerate that spice because you have the minions out on the board. It's basically like your mana pool in Magic.
Okay.
So
Is that a rule?
Kind of. I need
tried
to
it.
figure. There was.
That's a genuine question as far as is that a rule?
So we've already kind of established that minions can generate spice.
Yeah.
But what we've established is that there's a spice pool. Does it endure?
Ooh,
there's only so much spice out there.
how about this, like for,
So spice is finite. Did you just
Yes.
make a rule there? Spice,
Spice
is finite.
okay, so let's say the spice is out here in the middle of the table, it's finite,
Uh-huh.
and when you draw the cards that I mentioned earlier, like the 1 to 3, you can pull that many spice,
Uh-huh.
but there's only so much spice on the table
Yeah,
to be
it's
pulled
finite.
around. So when you spend it, okay, I realize I'm just repeating everything that we just said.
All right.
with that.
So spice, when spent, does not get consumed. It goes back to the pool.
Back to the
Yes.
pool.
All right.
It's the karmic energy of the food god universe.
Spice is
The
finite
spice must flow, and
and
it will be recycled through.
not-
we're not going to go there.
and recycles. That's a good word. All right. So let's talk for a moment about kind of the general structure, because I think we've got some implied rules, and this is what happens when you do this kind of thing, is that you have, you create structure, you create rules, and then we start making assumptions. Like we've got a pretty good idea that this is a turn-based game, right?
Yes.
We're taking turns, we're not all going at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not a real-time game where we're all
No.
grabbing things. All right, so we know that there's going to be a setup and then play.
And then
right?
with the turn-based, there should probably be some order of operations.
Sure. So before we hit that, let's talk a little bit about setup, because I think we've got some implied things that haven't been clarified yet.
Okay. Can we just flip these over and keep going? He's grabbing more paper.
Woo!
I love this. This is awesome. I cannot wait to actually sit down and play this game.
All right.
It's gonna be.
So
back
during
one
setup,
crazy.
obviously they're going to like shuffle a deck of cards, right?
Yeah.
We're going to establish a turn order. Does the turn order ever change during play, or do we
Let's
just
not do it
No.
flux style. Let's
All
just
right.
go around.
All right, cool. So we establish a turn order, we shuffle the cards, we establish a spice pool in the middle of the table. It's probably going to be different sizes based on the number of players. Like
Yes.
That makes sense.
it might be like, say 8 spice per player.
Yeah.
We count the monster player in. Do we establish the monster player at the beginning of the game?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then I'm just going to arbitrarily say that it'll probably be whoever first player is gets to choose who the monster is. So if you're first player, you might, I'm monster.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go.
Okay.
All right, so we've got a monster player, we've got the other players. It is
And as far as who gets to pick first player, because I always love the stupid obscure rules as to who gets to pick, whoever can come up with the most obscure science fiction reference. You're like,
Win that,
I never
every
get to
time.
be first player.
I would never be first player. How don't you just roll a die like everyone else does? There's
Thank
only
you,
so
Will.
many obscure science fiction
Oh
facts.
no, there aren't.
Oh yeah, there are.
all right. So shuffle the deck, put the spice in the middle of the table, determine first player, determine who's doing the monster, and then you draw your initial hand of 5 cards.
Yeah.
Right? And then you start play. All right, so we've got cards. Do we start with spice?
Ooh, no, you have to earn spice.
All right, so right now it sounds to me like the only ways to earn spice are by playing a spice card or by getting a, I want to say sous chef, but that's one specific type of support card, or by getting a support card into play and then not tapping, because that's patented, utilizing that card to generate spice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
that sounds
So are those the only ways it gets spice are by utilizing support cards or through playing spice?
No, how about when you defeat monsters, you get a bonus?
All right.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
then brings the point. Are the only monsters you defeat the ones that are put out by the monster keeper?
Yes.
All right. And they're playing off the same deck, right?
No, they have a monster deck.
Oh.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
that
Wait a
changes
minute.
things.
I think that's kind of an important rule there. All right, anyway.
Yeah, because
Wow,
you want to have
what would be in the monster deck? Because I was thinking
different random monsters that
I
you can
was
play out with.
thinking of this as being just, again, I'm just going to go back to Flux as an example, just like one solid deck that everyone's playing out of. with the same set of rules. Although,
Well,
So
then,
there's-
then how would you do the monster deck?
There's two design approaches, right?
okay.
Yeah.
One is that we say that there's one deck of cards and that the monster keeper plays out of that same deck, but they probably have different rules for how they play. So their things might cost less, they might be able to play more. If they play like support cards, they might be like twisted versions of the support cards. Like, they might be diseases against the support cards as opposed to actual support cards. You get the idea.
I
right?
like all of that,
So that's
actually.
one way. Or the other way is that you say, all right, and there's an entirely different deck of monster stuff, and those like weird challenges, and they say things like, you have to attack this many times to defeat it, blah, 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 blah.
I'm torn because I like the simplicity of just having one deck everybody's playing out of, but I also kind of like the Schadenfreude fun of a monster deck where it's just twisted versions of everything.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Entirely twisted version of everything, because then you could put the big monsters in it that you have to actually battle. And he could do his little like support minions that are all like,
So his support minions would be like fast food workers.
oh yes, fast
and-
food worker, Taco Bell workers have to be
yeah.
on there.
So they're all like the bottom of the barrel, like
Yeah.
So fast food workers, people that have been fired from food service jobs, stuff along those HEB, sushi chefs.
One of
things
them
along
has
those
to be
lines.
the food of the health inspector.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Playing the health inspector against someone removes all their spice. I like
played
that.
the health inspector card on you.
And now you have no spice left.
You have rats in your burgers.
And I would think that their deck would be a little bit more simplified because it's just reactionary against ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then my question here is it player, 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 monster, or is it player, monster, player, monster, player, monster?
I think it's player, 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 monster, because the monster deck's probably going to be a little bit more overpowered to make it challenging for the other three people, so they have to co-op.
So then my other
I agree
question
with
here is, this lends itself to you declare what you're doing. Chris-Rachael declares what she's doing. I declare what I'm doing. They declare what they're doing. We resolve it all together, as opposed to you do something, resolve it. Chris-Rachael does something, resolves it. I do something, resolve it. Does that sound?
I agree,
How-
but the only reason, let's go with that. I think the reason I was waffling is I don't want it to be too easy to defeat the monsters.
Right.
And so if we suddenly were like, oh hey, well, what all of you guys, I've got 5 cards, you've got 5 cards, you've got 5 cards, okay, game's over in 1 turn.
Are we allowed to collaborate?
Are we?
Well, it's a co-op game. Oh no, you should be rival restaurants.
That are all fighting science fiction monsters.
Yes.
Are we scrapping the co-op thing then?
No, co-op could be fun. Like you could make.
Okay,
Well,
we can either
a
be
game like
co-op
this
or
lends
we
itself
can-
really well to multiple styles of play.
Okay.
Where it can be, it's probably going to be easy as heck to make a kind of automated way of saying, all right, the monster deck runs itself, and we're all playing against it, versus a person's running the monster deck and we're playing against that person, versus we're playing against the monster deck, but whichever one of us does the best wins. But if we don't all beat the monster deck, then we all lose. A competitive game. It's
Yeah.
easy enough to
A
make
competitive game.
so it's really easy to make rules that abide by all
Okay,
three of those.
let's do that then.
directives.
So it could be a customizable game however you feel like playing. You feel like backstabbing each other, go
Right.
for it.
Yep. All right. So set up and then play. Which one did we like more? The boop 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 versus
No,
do-do-do-do?
All three
all the player
having
characters
to.
do their thing, and then the monster.
So
then
all
the
three
player
versus one
characters-
actually is very much a cooperative one,
Yeah.
where boop 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 is very much the competitive style.
Yeah, but
So-
let's say we want to cooperate, but I actually want to win, so I'm going to have cards that I can screw with her plan of attack.
Ah.
And we go, oh, sorry, boop, boop, and I get the extra points.
That
and win.
implies very strongly that competitive games, you play your cards face down, and you put like an amount of spice. You're saying this is how much I'm paying for this, right?
Okay.
And then you reveal, right?
But
and
in that
so,
case, we do want to go against the monster, every one of us.
well, here's the thing, right? Is that it would be, no, all three of us go, all right, well, all right, this is what we're doing. All right, I'm putting a whole bunch of troops in against this monster. And then I put my big lump in, and y'all are like, all right, yeah, we're going to contribute too. And I'm like, yeah, I actually have 2 stick men. The rest of this spice stays back here. I only paid 2 spice. And you're like, what the hell? Well, yeah, but I've got this other card that says that I don't take any damage this round. See ya, suckers.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
So we could still have fun, but still be rivals.
All right. Yeah, because that allows the people that want to play cooperatively to do so if they feel like it, and the people that really just want to do the screw your neighbor game to do that too.
This could be a great house rule game, let me tell you.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so then it actually is kind of like we take 1 turn, they do their stuff, and then we reveal
Okay.
and resolve. And so we know that we lose if we run out of cards.
Yes.
Are there other ways that we can lose?
You could totally be demolished.
How? We don't have
we'll
life
see
points.
if there's
Yeah.
no life points. There's
There's
spice
no life
points.
points. The spice isn't. Yeah, I think it's just when we run out of cards. If we don't defeat them by, I mean, it's a countdown timer.
Yeah.
You know, if we
Actually,
don't-
you know,
Yeah.
successful attacks by the monster player could deplete our card base.
Oh,
Ooh,
good.
so if it takes all of our cards, or
So if we don't have any defense out, they're just like, all right,
Well, like,
my
here's-
twisted sandworm comes. No, not twisted sandworm. Sorry, my taco burrito demon. Taco burrito supreme grande.
I gotta draw the taco burrito demon.
go on.
Comes over and eats the top 5 cards of your deck,
Okay.
and we go, oh, that was our sandworm.
And then that player is out, and everyone else just has to try and defeat the monsters for the rest of the game.
Well, I don't want to see any player elimination because we're all
Okay.
playing off one deck. But if we see things that die,
The deck
right?
is your life points.
Right. So they come over and attack, and they're like, all right, you take 5 damage. We slough off 5 cards. And now that's stuff that's in our graveyard that, unless we've got something awesome, we're not getting that back.
Can we add a rule at some point back on the rules of, at some point, I'm not sure how mechanic-wise, you can go through the discards and get a card?
So
That'll probably
probably
be
you'll
one of
see
your
like
cards you
support
play.
cards that do
Yeah.
that. There's probably going to be a big spice cost for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because functionally what you're saying, that's the kind of thing that I would limit a lot in this game because that extends game. Right?
Yeah, because
That
you,
might-
you
Also,
want
the other
that
thing is
feeling
that that's
of-
very much like, I'm going to take the one single most powerful card.
Yeah, it is.
Boom.
That's
Right.
exactly what I use that
All
mechanic
right.
for on a regular
So
basis.
long story short is that we've got a game.
Wow.
I mean, this is not, I mean, every single monster thing needs to be made, but we're obviously not going to be able to make that right now.
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Well,
the structure.
Fantastic. Those of you that are watching at home, which would be all of you because the limited studio audience is very, very limited tonight.
There's a cockroach over there.
Oh, hush, there's like 17 people out there.
Health inspector says you're shut down.
Anyway, yes, this is fantastic. Jonathan is going to whip up a PDF of the rules that we'll be making that available as soon as he's done with that. Be patient, that's not going to be available on Monday or anything. It's going to take him some time to flesh it out, but the game will be completely free to everyone. If you play it, please, 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 like take some pictures, send them my way of you actually engaged in gameplay. If you want to make up any cards, like if you just want to do the artwork for the back of them, I will put that on Kitchen Overlord and I will pimp the heck out of your artwork for it, because why not? Let's make this a Kitchen Overlord collaborative game that we can all play and do horrible things to one another in.
I'm going to claim the taco burrito demon.
Taco burrito demon.
All right, we
Awesome.
will see you next time on another episode of Gamestorming.